Okay, my friends, I'm making a big joke out of this that I have now discovered that I have extremely high IQ. 139 instead of 136 puts me way over the 98th percentile, which is for Mensa. So I have every right to peer review others. And this is what I will peer review them on. I'm starting a whole new channel, or I'll either put it on a sub channel or something, but we're going to have an open line broadcast Zoom meetings where we will discuss what the experts know and don't know. Because I'm telling you right now, the experts you're relying on, they virtually every one of these categories, I give them a failure. They don't understand the subject matter. They have no broad knowledge in all the different areas that contribute to the matter that they're talking about. They're not open-minded whatsoever. It's just a complete denial. Examine evidence. I've never had one of them examine any of my evidence. Openly discuss opposing views? Absolutely not. Willing to debate Roger? Forget about it. They could never do it. They want solutions? No, they don't. They want to walk around in circles and collect money. They're driven by money. I want them to not be driven, but that's not the case. Willing to share? No, they want to hide things and patent things. A lot of these people that are out for profit. And I am not out for profit. I'm out for knowledge. I'm out for truth. I'm out for understanding. And with the knowledge and so forth that I have been shown, it has been denied with my extremely high IQ. It's time to take into account Roger, and I will be the one making the decision who is a peer and who isn't, because I right now stand above them. All right, I was always taught that you go to school to learn truth, and they are going to be examining everything that they can find that's going to have any truth to it. Well, DNA tests that are extremely valid are, normally considered truth. This was on a DNA test, and that's a lung. Yale University, I'm sure they have somebody there, an anatomist, that could look at that and understand that is a lung, the pattern of a lung, and that is the depression of the heart. I have anatomists, to some of the best in the world that I work with, literally the best in the world, and they understand all this stuff. That's a bone. It's not a white bone. It's a bone that still has its tunica on it, which is the periosteum, and it has its all the coating, and it's turned into a mud fossil. This is what I discovered was mud fossils, and Yale just refuses to examine them. This changes everything that we know about the past and geology. And Derek Briggs should have done his job and looked at it, and he didn't do that. So I peer review him in a very negative way, and so does my buddy Caesar. Now, if you understand what to look for, and you know how to shadow things and shade things, you could see where the neck was here. And it turns into basalt. The outside is feldspar, and that is collagens. I understand the anatomy, and I understand the process that I've actually made mud fossils. It's called nucleophilic substitution, and it's an invasion by aluminum silicates into this collagen tissue. All feldspar, 100% of all of these things, these coatings, are loaded with aluminum silicates. That's what feldspar is. And aluminum is the key to this whole thing. It bonded these during this great flood that caused all of these things to drown at a time. That's the other thing that really upsets these people. They cannot allow this investigation because it leads to a whole new history. So I give a very poor rating for Derek Briggs and Yale University entirely, because when Derek would not respond, I emailed everybody from top to bottom, the president right down, I mean, so everybody I could find. And he did respond at that point. He said, "Oh, I've looked at them, they're just rocks." Well, what does that say to his competence? You think about it. I've already thought about it. Okay, so my peer review of Yale and Derek Briggs is that they failed to do their job as professors and to examine evidence that's put in front of them. This is DNA test. This is a lung. I have all kinds of stuff. This was DNA tested as human. It's on this DNA test. This is a foot. That's a foot. Now, it's not like our foot exactly, but it's pretty close. But that's not a shoe. That is the actual foot of some kind of a, I call them no toes. And it has a bone right there just like ours would be. But inside they're a little different. And they have springs instead of tendons. Now, I tried to present this to all of these people, and none of them would look at it. So I see that as a fiduciary failure, because this changes everything for their students. Now, their students are totally not educated. They're diseducated, really. They're anti-educated. They're forced to repeat things that are not true. And now they're additionally reinforced to continuously say that and to tell others that, because that makes them smart and that makes them accepted and that makes them allowed to continue on in their business. Now, if they started putting up talk like I talk, they'd lose their jobs. They'd lose their positions. They'd be looked down on. So it's become a cult. Academia is now a cult. And of course Fermilab and CERN, they have all been contacted about my light acceleration experiments. That's light. Light's supposed to go one speed. That's speeding up, I can tell you that for a fact. If you can't see that, and you refuse to examine it, as Don Lincoln does from Fermilab, and everybody else, not a single one of them will stand up. This is the tetraquark we discovered 6 years ago, and then now they're just saying, ooh, we just discovered a tetraquark. And also we found the muon and the electron neutrino, which is what Don Lincoln is looking for at Fermilab. Muon neutrino, electron neutrino was a black and a white ball. They were attached together. Then they split, just like he's showing. The white goes here, the black goes there. Fission, fusion on a desktop. Refused by everyone in academia. I show that, and every single one of them, not one single person said, oh, that has to be, every single one of them said it has to be peer reviewed. You have to have it peer reviewed. I said, well, you peer review it? No. No, we're not going to peer review it because you're not peer reviewed. I peer review now. My intelligence level is way beyond theirs, and I have the evidence. So, and I am capable in every realm of physics, of science. I don't care what you put me. I understand everything about it, 100%. And it ain't bragging if it's true, and it's true. Okay, if you haven't figured it out by now, I say peer review is the problem with science. It is not to make science better, it's to restrict science. And this guy knows it as well. This is Alan Savory, What is Science? A Sella Amicur channel. Now listen to this. And this guy, he's on top of it, and he's exactly correct. I attribute it to the peer review. Unless it's peer reviewed, they can't discuss it, because if they do, they will be destroyed in their careers. They know it. They're intimidated to death. So that's all they want to know. Is if it's not peer reviewed, I can't talk about it. They'll throw me out. They'll kill me.
What is science? People talk glibly about science. What is science? People coming out of a university with a master's degree or a PhD, you take them into the field, and they literally don't believe anything unless there's a peer-reviewed paper. It's the only thing they accept. And you say to them, but let's observe, let's think, let's discuss. They don't do it. It's just, is it in a peer-reviewed paper or not? That's their view of science. I think it's pathetic. Gone into universities as bright young people, they come out of them brain dead, not even knowing what science means. They think it means peer-reviewed papers, etc. No, that's academia. And if a paper is peer-reviewed, it means everybody thought the same, therefore they approved it. An unintended consequence is that when new knowledge emerges, new scientific insights, they can never, ever be peer-reviewed. So we're blocking all new advances in science that are big advances. If you look at the breakthroughs in science, almost always they don't come from the center of that profession. They come from the fringe. People see it differently. The finest candle makers in the world couldn't even think of electric lights. They don't come from within, they often come from outside the brakes. We're going to kill ourselves because of stupidity.
Something he said it was an unintended consequence. Well, it is an intended consequence, in my opinion, because they are restricting access based on status and their positions so that they don't disrupt anything. So I think it's more intended than not intended, and it's intended by the big shots. The big shots control everything, just like every other business. And academia is nothing more than a business, and it is just really it's a really bad business at this point, because fiduciary failure of the academic society is it's a legal issue, really, and I can't see where it should, how they can get away with it for so long. All somebody's got to do is stand up, and it's all over.